Hey guys, GhazzyTV here with an angry Path of Exile video. I'm going to talk about the Apothecary. It's a new Divination card coming out in 3.18 that's going to give you a stack of 5 to hand it in for a Mageblood belt. The designer of this, his Twitch name is Monstrous Cheese. Calling you out there. He's in the chat right now. How you doing, man? Actually, we felt that this card was an inevitable result. That it was going to happen. So we've just been waiting for this to happen. However, it does bring up a few questions, and my personal opinion is that I fucking hate it. I hate it, and I hate it, and I hate it. And I know that the majority of the community will be on the opposite side of the spectrum. So I'm going to go ahead and basically spill the beans on a couple of questions that this card brings to the table, and also elaborate on why I don't like it. And I want to hear you guys' thoughts in the comments below, so let me know. Basically, we first talked about the idea that they might nerf Mageblood, that it's excessively strong. I know some people will say like, well, but Headhunter's better. Yeah, Headhunter's better for clearing and for very specific builds, but not so much for Mageblood. Mageblood is excessively crazy good for everything, and it can be used by pretty much all builds except for some attack builds that would prefer Headhunter because of clearing. And even then, Mageblood would still be an option for them to use. So the question is, will they nerf Mageblood? Do you think that they will remove or lower the amount of flasks the Mageblood is using? An indication to this is that this guy only has 2 flasks on the belt. Instead of 4. Hello. Spoiler alerts. Anyways, we'll see. I'm not sure about the Mageblood nerf, but it does we should bring to attention that that might happen, because it is excessively overpowered right now. But we'll see. We'll see. And then we talked about the impacts depending on how common the card was, and turns out that Twitch chat they didn't pay attention in school. Maybe that's why most of them are like unemployed and sitting and playing games all the time. If the card is common, the Mageblood goes down in price. And then when I asked if the card is uncommon, what would happen with the price, and the chat said nothing. Obviously, the Mageblood would go down in price. Okay, guys, please. The other question is if the card is target farmable. And when I say target farmable, I'm talking about like doctors or nurse cards. They are farmable in certain maps. We have a couple of other cards like Earth Drinker from Act 6, I think it is. Act 6 or 7? 6. Where you can actually target farm from a specific boss. Will the Apothecary actually be target farmable? What will happen then? Well, obviously the Mageblood would obviously go down in price very hard if that was were to happen. Obviously, even if the card would be super rare, but at least target farmable. And that's something we've been screaming for when it comes to the community, that we want to see divination cards become, or at least items in general, become target farmable. So this would be a great opportunity for them to do so. Someone in chat mentioned that it would be fun to see to have this card be a drop from Uber Hillock. And honestly, I would fucking love that. Anyways, so we know that Mageblood prices, they've been kind of steadily around a mirror in price. And when we look at divination cards in terms of the expected price for these divination cards, when a divination card has a stack of 10, you could safely assume that they would cost less than 1/10 of the price of the finished item, right? That's what happens most of the times. When it comes to the bigger versions of items, mostly target being because of the fact that the cards are being used to gamble with the Harvest Gambas. That means such as the Mageblood card, the House of Mirrors, the Mirror Shard cards, the Nurses to some degree, but also Doctor cards for Headhunters. They all have a tendency of having a price that is higher than the exact split from the finished product. So when we say that a Mageblood would cost a mirror, the Apothecary wouldn't cost 1/5 of a mirror. It would be closer to 1/4 of a mirror instead, because people will actually gamba with this. Another thing to mention is that House of Mirrors has a max stack of 9, and the Harvest Gamba would allow you to pop 4 cards because it's rounded down of half a stack, whereas the Mageblood rounded down would allow you to only pop 1 or 2 cards. So it's a little bit of a different type of approach when it comes to the gambling of the Mageblood cards. I still think that it's going to be more expensive. Now, obviously, these things, some people were saying that, well, if I find a card or I want to buy a Mageblood, I can purchase the cards because I will feel the progression to buy them. There are pros and cons of this. I think it's still a good way to progress your currency into a Mageblood, because I would assume that it's happening to the same process as House of Mirror cards, where the longer the league lasts, the more currency they will cost. So buying the cards will be a smart investment if you're aiming to afford a mage, but I think it would be pretty smart to step by step buy the cards when you can afford them, if that's your goal, right? So it does open up that possibility, which I think is good and healthy for the community, for the people that can generate these amount of currency. Another thing is to round this off is my biggest problem with this, why I don't like it, and that we're going to talk about core problems. And I have this little list here, so I'm just going to go step by step here. The core problem is that it's a fucking div card, okay? That is my problem. Div cards are my problem. Most of div cards are not target farmable. Instead, some of the cards are target farmable, but they're not unrealistic. Like, you have certain cards from certain bosses that gives you an item that you wouldn't even want to use to be able to kill that boss. So you need to have a character that is already strong enough to do certain in-game content to drop divination cards that will allow you to get an item that you wouldn't even in a million years consider using to be able to defeat that boss that you want to farm it for. That's a problem in my opinion. But the biggest one is this one here. Stacked decks is the problem. So why is stacked decks a problem? Stacked decks removes the idea of you target farming something, or that you're achieving something cool, that you're working towards a goal to kill a boss or a content or farm some specific content that drops these good things. You just get a random stacked decks, you pop it on the ground or whatever in your inventory, and bam, you got a House of Mirror. Bam, you got an Apothecary. You have a 5th of Mageblood. This is a problem. The biggest problem with this, however, is that stacked decks allows you to gain access to content way before regular or normal progression. You can actually have a full set of Uber-Series, a full set of Uber Elder, a full set of Shaper, ready to pop them and go in and kill these bosses. On a league launch, the first couple of hours of a league, before anyone has even reached maps, you can have access to Uber Elder. How is that a healthy approach to the game? How is that good? That you can bypass progression through stacked decks? I don't know. I absolutely hate it. And the more divination cards we add to this pool, the worse it gets in my opinion, because it always comes down to this problem here. This is the problem that is a result of the stacked decks problem as well. Most people, they drop a card, they don't see, hey, I got an Apothecary, well, maybe I can farm another 4 and I can actually work towards being able to have my very own Mageblood. That's not what people see. People drop the card and they'd be like, well, this looks cool, how much is it worth? They see currency. And it's similar, like in solo self-fund, you can forget about getting a full stack unless you start gambling with them in Harvest. That's one of the only realistic ways you can get actual access to full stacks of some of these rarer cards. So what's the point of having a fragment of an item if the idea of the fragment of the item is, in the eyes of the majority of the community, only going to be seen as bubblegum currency? If I drop a Doctor card, the only thing I see a couple of Exalteds on the ground. If I drop a Delirium Orb with currency, I see Chaos Orbs on the ground. That's what I see. It's just bubblegum currency. It's being treated the same way as dropping off currency. And when I say off currency, the most commonly traded currency is Mirror Exalteds and Chaos Orbs. Those are the 3 most commonly traded ones. So divination cards is like, they're just a currency by proxy, or whatever you want to call it. I just refer to them as bubblegum currency. It's like an alteration. It's just a very valuable one. That's about it. And this just translates further into the insane bloat of cards available. I don't know. Like, it's the same thing as the guy who designed the card, Monstrous Cheese, here in the chat. He said that he has a similar similar perspective. I can't even speak. Similar perspective on divination card, that it kind of needs a rework. And that we would very, very warmly welcome a divination card rework, because there is a huge problem with this. So as they're adding more of these things, you know what's going to happen? Well, the casual or newer players, they're not the ones who are going to get a Mageblood. They might go down, well, they're probably going to go down a little bit in price. But you think they're going to go from a mirror to suddenly cost a couple of X and become available for the majority of the community? No, that's not what's going to happen. They're still going to be expensive as fuck. It just opens up another venue for the super high rich people to gamble cards. We've gambled about 10,000 Exalted worth of House of Mirrors this league. Probably more, actually. Now we can do that with Mageblood. Yay, that's fun for us. Great. We're like, what? A couple of hundred people out of, what? I don't know, millions. I don't know how many people actually play Path of Exile. I know the concurrent player base from Steam peaked like 150,000 or something on League launch, but there are plenty more people playing, and standalone is a huge portion of that as well. So, I mean, there's tons of people playing. And why would we still get more things that benefits the high-end rich people? We don't need it. What happened to catering to the new and newer players and helping them achieve things? There's not even guides in the game. Like, I don't know, I just get pissed off with this because I don't like it. And that's my problem with it. I try to explain why I don't like it. I hope you guys understand my perspective on it. It's gonna happen whether I like it or not, so it doesn't really matter. But I would like to hear you guys' opinions in the comments below. So let me know in the comments. Don't forget to hit like button, subscribe for more content. Until next time, as always, stay safe, keep rocking.